Hi, welcome to the business of building applications. So this is about mobile applications and the business plans that go with them. So we're in a course that has several units, and we're on part 3 right now, which is called Marketing and Monetizing Your App. So you can see that there are other topics that are here. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, make sure that you subscribe and you can join me for class on other occasions. My name is Shad Sluter, and I teach software development and computer science at Grand Canyon University. So welcome to class, and please come again. So we're in the app business plan area right now, which is talking about money and how to make money. And so we're in part 4, which is at the bottom here of this grid, the investors that you're going to deal with. So some of you will never get to the investor stage, or probably will never get there, because this requires a lot of momentum in your business. So go back and talk about your business model first and how you plan to make money before you ask other people to help you out. So investors are kind of scary. It's a whole new field that is beyond what most of us computer science people are good at. I mean, we're building things that are built out of bits and bytes and user interfaces, and now we're talking about managing money and partnerships. So why do you want an investor? Well, maybe you don't want an investor, but if you do, you have to have a good reason. So here are some of the reasons. First of all, you have to expand what's already going, and you don't have enough capital. Maybe you need advertising to grow your market, or you have development of a new phase of your business, and you're going to need some investment to help you there. Or these partners will have networks that will help you out. So there are a variety of ways where you would want to bring somebody in. But there are, of course, drawbacks. People don't just give you money, they want a segment of your company. And so if you give away part of your company, you no longer own that, and you lose equity. So you may start off with 100% ownership of your company, but by the time the investors are done, you will be a minority owner of your own company. You might even lose control of your company. They won't like the way that you're running it, and since they have the cash, they make the final decision. And of course, there's always the possibility of conflict. I think the most famous example, at least from my world, is Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, or the co-founder of Apple, was fired from his own company by the board of directors. And of course, the people that fired him nearly drove Apple into the ground and were basically a bankrupt company, and they asked Steve Jobs to come back. So unless you're Steve Jobs, you probably won't get that second chance. But anyway, investors have a lot to offer, but they come at a price. So the stages of growth, though, are maybe so far away that you're not even ready for that. In the first stage, usually most companies are in what they call the bootstrap stage. You look at your own money first, and so you mortgage your house, or you max out your credit cards, or maybe you were just born rich, but you have to have your own funds. And then the second is you ask your friends and your family to help you. And of course, you give them a share of the company. And you say, hey, for 10%, give me $100,000 and you can be a billionaire in 10 years. Maybe, maybe not. But you have to have people that really believe in you, because you can't really sell your friendships unless you've got some pretty good plans. So you can have some potential for problems. Business incubators are probably going to be in one of the stages where you're thinking about growing. So you've got a product, you need some office space, you've got some employees now, and you got to have some space. And so governments usually are pretty nice. They give you these incubation centers or these business playgrounds, or I don't know what you would call them, but these low cost and early stage kind of growth. They might even give you grants and give you some free money if you promise to hire people. So where I work at Grand Canyon University, we have a place called Canyon Ventures. And so if you've got an app or if you've got a business, please contact my employer. They will give you free office space, literally, no rent. They will give you access to internet and technology and advice. There's only one caveat, is that you have to hire my students, which is a great deal because my students are really smart, right? They know how to program in different languages, and, well, I've taught them everything I know. So if you hire my students, the university gets the benefit that they think is value to them. But you get free rent, and you've got yourself a great environment where, I don't know, there's at least 50 companies now working in the business venture area, and a lot of them are dealing with technology. And so you are networking as well as getting some free office space. Venture capital is eventually going to come where you've gotten a certain stage. Your company is working now when you get to this stage. And angel investors are willing to give you large amounts of money, millions perhaps, if they have some questions that they can answer. So if you ever watch Shark Tank, these are usually the venture capital kind of stage where people have some track record to prove that they're making income. And then far into the future, when your app really hits it big, then most people have what they call an exit strategy, where they lose control of the company, but they get a couple of $1 billion out of it if they're lucky. And so they want to be bought out, or maybe the company is unique and will stand on its own and will become a public company. And so you have your IPO, or your initial public offering, and you sell stocks. And so the idea is you want to be a partial owner of something really big than to be a full owner of something really small. They say it's better to have a slice of the watermelon than to own the entire grape. I guess that's the analogy. And so those are the stages of your investment and the growth of your company and where you're going to get your funds to make it work. So let's give some examples here of some apps that really hit it quite big. So you might remember, if you're old enough, that Instagram was its own company and it was growing quickly, and Facebook bought them. They could see that they were a rising threat. And so for a cool $1 billion, Facebook quenched that problem. Tumblr was purchased by Yahoo. Well, just recently Yahoo was being sold by, I think Verizon is their latest ownership, and Tumblr is no longer part of Yahoo. Anyway, it's a old business. But they paid $1 billion at one point for this web app. Skype, famously purchased by Microsoft for $8 billion. And Microsoft somehow missed it. Zoom became the thing in the COVID era of working from home. Microsoft and its billions couldn't compete. I don't know. Is Skype that good? Or maybe not. WhatsApp was purchased by Facebook for $19 billion. Facebook obviously has way too much money that they can just buy their competitors. I predict that in the future, the government won't be so keen on letting them buy everybody. That starts to look like anti-competitive behavior, if you ask me. So most investors are thinking about this kind of a long-term payback. Your business is going to grow really well, and some other wealthy company will hopefully buy you. And that's when they get their money back. And so everyone gets rich in the process, and hopefully the app continues on working as well as it did before. Large companies have a bad reputation of destroying good products just because they were competitors. But anyway, the owner gets the cash, and hopefully the workers still have a job after the merger occurs. Now, if you talk to investors, they're going to have some very specific questions. So these are some of them. Are you committed to your plan? So they're judging you just as much as their product. Are you a trustworthy employee? Because if they give you a large chunk of cash, they're investing in you just as much as your idea. Are you skilled enough? Do they think that you're a competent owner of the business? They obviously are not going to invest money in somebody that will squander it. How much money are you spending? That's a huge question. You might have $1 million of revenue, but if it costs you $1 million to create that revenue, your company is really at zero. And so cost cutting is very important to investors. How fast are you growing? Investors don't want to see a 5% annual growth in most companies. That would be for a mature company. But a startup has to be at rocket level acceleration because they expect to see huge returns because many times businesses don't work out. How do you compare to the competition? So do investors already own something or stock in somebody else that is your direct competitor? If so, then there might be conflicts. Who else is invested? So you might come and ask for help from an investor, but you've already sold most of your company to other investors. And so they're going to come in and be a minority voice in your company. They might not be interested in that. How about this? Will you be profitable? Of course, that's the whole bottom line, isn't it? And then finally, how much of the company are you willing to give me? And so this is a struggle. Do you really want to give away control of your baby to somebody else that just sees it as a dollar sign proposition? Because you are emotionally invested in the idea that you created. So I'm not really a business expert, so I'm probably not the best authority to talk about most of this, but if you watch the pitch on Shark Tank, you get the idea. People have a story of who they are, what value they create, and how successful they currently are. And so some of the usual questions that I just went through here are the same ones that you get from the panel of judges on Shark Tank. They want to know, how profitable are you? What's your expenses? What's your story? Who else is invested? And things like that. Once again, as I mentioned, at Grand Canyon University, as probably most other universities, we have these panels of investors that are willing to take a look at companies that even our own students are working on and give them help and support and investments and guidance. So find out who is doing this kind of work in your local area and attend the meetings and watch other pitches, and maybe you can get some help as well with your own business plan. Now, if you want to design a product that is truly addictive, then there are some principles that we can go through here in the next video. If you'd like to see the entire course playlist for the Business of Apps, I'll put that link here as well. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that now. Welcome to class, and keep watching.